have whatever you like with great credit score. Good evening. This is You and Your Credit on the New Orleans Talk Network. I'm your host, Remus Bowman. Thank you for joining me. Today, we're going to give some information that I believe is vital. This is the most important, one of the most important shows I've ever done. We frequently have a number of people that will come on the show and talk about how effective our program is in helping them to restore their credit. So, more often than not, week in and week out, we talk about credit restoration, which is a very important aspect of the show. It's what we do. We help people uh, get a second chance, in some cases, third chances. Uh, Last week, I decided to do a little investigation. Uh, I put in, actually, every day I have 3 to 5 emails that come in. They come in from all over the world, from all over the country, and they're always saying, "You're approved, you're approved, you're approved, you're approved for a loan." Well, on last, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday, I decided to do a little test marketing to see just how these programs work and to find out whether or not they were legitimate. And the reason why I'm doing a show on this is because you too will find it very easy to be taken advantage of. Our information is readily available for anyone who works in this industry, the industry of stealing identities. Uh, People can buy your information from companies that you do business with. They can purchase information from collection agencies. Uh, that you try and you try and you try to be protective of your information, but it's a hard thing to do. Every 2 seconds, every 2 seconds of every day, 7 days a week, somebody has had their identity stolen, has had their information compromised. Whether we realize it or not, there's this big conversation going on right now about the election from last year and how uh, they were able to steal the emails from the Democratic Party and easily destroyed the candidacy of Hillary Clinton, who was running for president. Uh, I'm not going to say that this had an effect on who won, on the outcome of the election, because that has nothing to do uh, with the show or what we're trying to, the information we're trying to make available to you. The point is that no matter how hard you try, you cannot stop someone from gaining your information. It's out there, it's available, it's accessible, it's easily accessible. Uh, Over the last few years, we've had insurance companies that have had their files hacked. We've had the feds have their files hacked. We've had the Democratic Party have their files hacked with personal information. So it's relatively difficult to keep someone from stealing your personal information: name, address, phone number, social security, date of birth, where you work, the whole 9 yards. It's so easy that, as I said earlier, the clock is running. And recently, uh, as I said earlier, because I was more curious than anything else, primarily because you know, working in this industry and helping people to improve their credit's a positive. It's a good thing, but maintaining a good credit score is very difficult, especially when there's so many adverse situations that can occur as a result of your normal everyday living. As a representative for United Financial Services, we also represent a company by the name of LifeLock. Now, a lot of people should be aware of LifeLock. They do a lot of infomercials. There's they put their information out there, pretty much, try to make people aware of them. Now, you also currently have uh, credit bureaus, and you also have other companies like Experian uh, and Equifax that are emailing people, you know, if you join their programs, if someone runs your credit. So, there's also there's lots of situations out there that are designed to help you protect yourself. Even Capital One now has a program where if someone runs your credit, and it comes through that network, uh, uh, they'll notify you. So all this is good. So the biggest thought of the day should be on number one, should be on trying to obtain and maintain good credit. Uh, the second thought should be how to keep your credit information from being stolen. Uh, of course, as I said a moment ago, many companies are offering uh, this this service for free, but they're very limited, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to just as we are, we're marketing. Uh, we're going to go into in a little bit more in depth on the LifeLock program, because when you compare all of the different security programs out there, there's only one that does everything that LifeLock does for you, and it's a wonderful program. In fact, uh, I was just reading over some of their information a few minutes ago, and every time I do research on these products, I find more and more reasons to be encouraged. Uh, you know, it's a very inexpensive program to be a part of, and if you have a good credit score, or if you don't want to take the chance that your identity might be stolen by some criminals or even a family member in some cases, uh, or let's say, for example, you may be going through a divorce or separation, and you don't want your spouse to include your information on a purchase. You may want to look into securing your information by using a company such as LifeLock, because what will happen is, let's say, for example, you're going through a separation. Now, this happens to a lot of people. They may be going through a separation or a divorce, and the spouse who already has their access to their information might go out and decide that they want to charge them up, you know, create a nice little pothole for you to have to deal with after they're gone. So that person may go out and obtain credit cards in your name, and you don't even know about it. a person may decide to go out and obtain utilities or cable in your name, and you may not even know it. All these things are accessible to people, family members, because they have that information, they have that additional information. About 2 years ago, I did a show on separation and divorce and protecting your credit as a result of, um, a separation or divorce, and what I would recommend people would do. So if you are in a situation where you may be going through this type of situation, you may want to consider a product such as LifeLock, because they offer what you need to keep that person or keep another person from infringing on your good credit or creating uh, liability liabilities for you as the what do they call them, little parting gifts, parting gifts, meaning, let me give you a little surprise, let me send you this to take with you as I leave. uh, as I said earlier, I was reading the information on LifeLock, and it says uh, it says data breaches, companies that sell your information, which I covered already. There are lots of companies that sell personal information in the open market. There should be, there should be laws against that. I happen to work at a car dealership primarily, and in our packet that we provide to people that are purchasing cars for us, we make them aware of the fact that we do not sell their information, which is a good thing. So, but that doesn't mean that other companies that you might be doing business with may not be offering your information for sale. It's just that Toyota New Orleans does not. Uh, people can. There are many ways for criminals to steal your identity. They can open accounts in your name. They can buy properties, even file tax returns in your name. And a lot of people are not aware that people actually file tax returns in your name. So by not being aware that you're in a very vulnerable situation, then all kinds of things can happen to you. Uh, Imagine if you file taxes and somebody else has already used your identification and gotten your tax return. I've personally met people who have gone through that scenario. It's a horrible thing to have to go through, but it happens all the time. We're about to go into, we're only a few months out from tax season. We're a few months out from uh, the time when people are going to be looking to buy cars and buy homes, because they're going to be, and they're, working in anticipation of their tax returns, because a lot of times people will use their tax return money to do things like that. Now, to to go further, uh, uh, with the LifeLock product, they also help you restore your good credit as a result of the product. So if you're a member of LifeLock now, we do. If you ever been on our website, that's youandyourcredit.com or youandyourcredit.us, you'll see a that we represent LifeLock, and we also have a credit restoration program. Now, a lot of people are not aware of this, but our credit restoration program also attaches you to LifeLock. So if you're in the credit restoration program through United Financial Services, you also are protected by LifeLock. Uh, Also, as well, if someone steals your identity while you're in a LifeLock program, and it's a covered situation, then what happens is LifeLock will help you provide the professional assistance of trained professionals who will help you to remove that information off your credit file, and then they will also reimburse you for covered situations that occurred as a result of an error that may have occurred as a result of your membership. Now, the thing is that last week I was, as I said earlier, every day I get these emails. More often than not, I kind of, push them to the side or delete them from my email account, primarily because, I already know, what the end result's going to be, or I already know that it's not a bad thing for me to get involved with. But I went ahead and took the plunge just out of curiosity. Oh, by the way, the LifeLock product's only $100 a year. So if you're interested in protecting your identity and keeping people from stealing your most valuable asset, which is your credit, you can go on youandyourcredit.com and register for LifeLock and become, it's just that easy. And, and you'll get a notification from the company itself. You'll be able to communicate with them directly, as I do sometimes. Matter of fact, whenever I put in an application for anything, and it's something that's out of the norm, that is different from, something that I would normally do, I get a notification from them. And in a lot of cases, if I register for a credit card or something like that, I'll get a notification from LifeLock asking me if it's me. So what'll happen is, if that person is not you and your email or your telephone number is registered with LifeLock and someone applies to, or attempts to apply to get credit in your name, then they're going to notify you. And if in fact you're not the person who's applying for that transaction, they will also do everything they can to cease to force the transaction to cease at that time. It's time for our first break. This is You and Your Credit on the New Orleans Talk Network. I'm your host, Remus Bowman. It's time for our first break. We'll be right back on the New Orleans Talk Network.
We're back. Talk What You Know returns on Wednesday mornings at 8 a.m. We got a brand new co-host by the name of Bob B. And hey, that's me. Also, we got some new features. We're going to be giving away, have a weekly raffle of prizes. There are multiple ways for you to win, and there's a bevy of prizes. So we need you to come on back, join us on Wednesday mornings at 8 o'clock for Talk What You Know on the New Orleans Talk Network.
What's up, readers and shakers? It's your girl, Rhonda M. Lawson, sending you a personal invite to the Literary Lounge. Tune in to Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions each Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for the best in literary conversation. Each week, a different author will join us to talk to their most important readers, you. You can also call in to ask your own questions. So don't forget, each Wednesday at 7 p.m., join us in the lounge for Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. See you there.
Hello and congratulations. You have arrived at the second half. I'm your host, Cinder Coleman Miller. Connect with us every Thursday at 10 o'clock a.m. on the New Orleans Talk Network as we discuss issues pertaining to the most exciting and prolific generation of our times, the baby boomers. So for information, resources, and booming entertainment, meet us at the second half, brought to you by the Boomers Lifestyle Network.
I'm living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's
questions about your finances, stocks, and fishing? Join the New Orleans Talk Network and Dr. G, the Money Coach, on The Money Factor every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
You can have whatever you like with a great credit score. Now, as I was saying earlier, uh, last week I got in this same email. And so, out of curiosity, I contacted the company and filled out the information and sent it in. It said, "You're approved." So the guy sends me back the information by email on the terms and conditions of the loan and how everything was going to work out. And so during the conversation, the guy asked me for my routing number for my checking account. So I gave it to him. And then he asked me for my account number. These things sound like normal things for someone to ask you when they're asking you for information if they're going to be making a deposit into your bank account. So the guy says, well, so I gave him the information and then he says, I'm going to need your password because we're going to have to look at the account to make sure that the account qualifies for us to complete the loan. By this time, we're on a roll. You got me believing that it's a legitimate company, and I'm a little hesitant, even though I have the information in front of me and a copy of the name of the company that they were using as a front. It was a fraud, the whole thing. But not to get off the subject. So I said, okay, fine. So I gave the information to the guy. The guy pulls up my personal my account. He looks at it. He says, okay, good. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna send out a deposit into your account, and we want you to send that money back to us. This is a test to see if this is the correct account and if we'll be able to make the deposit into the account when everything is complete, when we're ready to finalize it. Of course, a bell did go off in my head, but I said, I really need to do this so I can do this that I'm doing today. So the point is that you can't always be overly guarded. And because I knew that at the end I was going to publicize whatever happened, whether it was a positive outcome or a negative outcome. If I was doing I was processing the application to use that information for the show. So as a result, their credibility was important, and of course, I went along with the program. So they sent me a deposit. I was asked to go to a number of banks, a number of retail organizations, and purchase a card. The card that I purchased, the information could be, all I needed to do was send the information back to them, and the information would be would verify the account and would verify me as far as my ability to pay the debt. And you know, very soon afterwards, I was told that I would be receiving the proceeds from the loan. Wow. I'm thinking to myself, something's got to be wrong with this. This just doesn't seem right. But we're going to play it out. We're going to play it all the way out. Let's see what happens. So we sent the money to him, sent them the money back via a gift card. It was an iTunes gift card. So I had to buy several of the iTunes gift cards to send the money back. Hey, George, you on the line?
Hey, man, I'm on the line. How you doing, Mr. Bowman?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm telling a story about what happened last week.
Okay.
I think, and you, I remember telling you about it, and you said your response was, even you, a guy who works in the industry, can get taken advantage of.
Right.
Everybody's accessible.
Right.
And that's what people don't realize is that everybody is, your information's out there. You never know who's watching you, and it's their job to know to know who you are, and how to. It's the same thing as you waking up in the morning and going to First Impression Custom Clothes. That's their job.
That's right.
And by the way, I was telling the story, and so what happened is, hey George, you got some noise in the background.
Okay.
So what happened is, so the guy must have obviously Googled me, and there was another guy that was working in his office, and the guy came on the phone. He says, "Is this Remus Bowman with You and Your Credit?" I said, "Yeah, I'm Remus Bowman with You and Your Credit." He said, "Man," he said, I watch your YouTube channel." He says, "I've seen a few of your shows. I love your shows." And so the guy goes on to tell me about the show that we did back in January. He also told me about a show that we did in December. He was telling me how much he enjoyed watching the show on YouTube. I was, so I mean, these guys are pros, man. I'm like, wait a minute. So you've watched my shows on YouTube. You know who I am. You know that if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you know that I'm going to expose you on YouTube. I'm going to tell your story, and you're still going to do it? Nah, we gotta play this out.
Right.
So we played it out. We sent the money back, and of course, after we sent the money back, we never heard from him again. But I have a friend that works at the bank, so she told me what to do. She told me to call, and gave me a number to call, and of course I called, and LifeLock was already alerted. As a matter of fact, when I first put in the application, submitted it online, I got an email from LifeLock asking me to verify that this situation was happening.
Right.
So, of course, I had the opportunity at that time, that moment, to say no, to stop it, to cease it right then and there.
Right.
So I can't blame LifeLock for me wanting to go through the process.
Play it out. Yeah, play it out. See what happens.
And to see what happens. I already knew that there was a potential.
So you have that experience for your customers, and you can explain to them what will happen.
What will
if
happen.
You don't. Right.
So, of course, now one of the things that most people are not aware of is that a lot of these phone numbers that you're communicating with these people from is Google phone numbers. In other words, a guy could be in Europe somewhere.
Right, it's just a rolling number.
and he's using a number. He just picks a state or a city in the U.S. and he's using a number in, let's say, in Texas or Atlanta or wherever to to communicate with you from, and and when after he does his process, now the process that they really wanted to do was they didn't get any money of mine, but what they did is, and this is how it played out, they made a deposit into my account, but the money, the deposit that they put into my account, of course, they probably had stolen someone else's checking account information and deposited their information into my account. And as a result, that check bounced. And
Wow.
and because you don't get to see the check, you don't get to see the person, you have no idea who's making the deposit into your account because you have no idea and what the source of where the the deposit is coming from. There's nothing you can do to tag this to a particular person, and it's unfortunate. And what's really unfortunate about it is because I called the company, George, that they used,
Mm-hmm.
and I was told by that company that they were aware that they were being used in this manner.
Wow.
And but there's not, certainly I'm sure that I don't want to, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not saying the company's name, is because they're a legitimate company. They, employ thousands, probably thousands of people. They work throughout. They have offices throughout the United States, and anybody could take anybody's logo and put it in, and download it and create a scenario where they're ripping people off. That could happen to anyone. If it can happen to me who works in the industry, you know, it could happen to anyone. So the check that they deposited into my account didn't clear. So consequently, what happened is the money that I sent them back initially bounced, which created a problem for my account. Now, also, I got a notification from Capital One the following day of a fraud. So the system is working, and this is the it's encouraging because the system itself is working. Because number one, I got the information from LifeLock saying
Right.
that, to asking me about the occurrence, about the initial application that was being submitted on my behalf. So I had an opportunity to stop it there. Then at the end, after after I took the money out and sent it back to him, the following day, Capital One notifies me of a potential fraud. So, I will say that within, I guess, 2, 3 days, the situation had played itself out. Of course, I was trying to put my arms around how I could best use this information, not only to help myself because I had to dig out of a little bit of a hole to overcome this, but also to make sure everyone else understood what was going on. So if someone contacts you by email and say that you're approved by for a loan, and when you contact that company, you fill out the information, and you find some guy who has uh, all your information.
Right.
And these people knew my social security number, they knew my address, they even knew what kind of car I drove.
Wow.
I mean, they had a lot of verifiable information So they will, they do their homework. I mean, the guy even knew about you and your credit on YouTube. So that tells you that these people do a great deal of research when
And it's professional.
they're very professional. So are you going to be professional in taking care of yourself and protecting yourself from a situation like this, or are you just going to put your head in the sand? It's time for our second break. This is You and Your Credit on the New Orleans Talk Network. I hope you're benefiting from this information. You can contact me for additional information through youandyourcredit.com, youandyourcreditus, Remus Bowman on Facebook, Remus Bowman on Twitter, Remus Bowman on Instagram, and youandyourcredit.com by email, or remusbowman55@gmail. We'll be right back.
There's soul food, and then there's food for the soul. At a time where we live to eat, the Praline Connection restaurant serves up recipes that reach back into days long gone. You know, the kind of meals your mama cooked up for Sunday dinner. Fried chicken with macaroni and cheese and candied yams, homemade meatloaf with garlic mashed potatoes and string beans, or Nolan's filet gumbo. That's the real soul you get only at the Praline Connection restaurant, located at the corner of Charters and Frenchman Street in the Marinade.
Questions about your finances, tax, and fishing? Join the New Orleans Talk Network and Dr. G, the Money Coach, on The Money Factor every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Hello and congratulations. You have arrived at the second half. I'm your host, Cinder Coleman Miller. Connect with us every Thursday at 10 o'clock a.m. on the New Orleans Talk Network as we discuss issues pertaining to the most exciting and prolific generation of our times, baby boomers. So for information, resources, and booming entertainment, meet us at the second half, brought to you by the Boomers Lifestyle Network.
I'm living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's golden.
What's up, readers and shakers? It's your girl, Rhonda M. Lawson, sending you a personal invite to the Literary Lounge. Tune in to Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions each Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for the best in literary conversation. Each week, a different author will join us to talk to their most important readers, you. You can also call in to ask your own questions. So don't forget, each Wednesday at 7 p.m., join us in the lounge for Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. See you there.
Hi, I'm Linda Lewis with Lewis Armstrong Family Services here live at New Orleans Talk Network. We're here every Thursday at 11 a.m. Come join us. Thank you.
George, are you still there?
Hold on to the end, baby. I'm to the end.
But as I said earlier, and if anyone would like to get more information from me concerning the situation that occurred, I have the evidence right here. They're so good. It says installment loans, terms and conditions. All right, default, lender's rights in the event of a default. Repayment guarantee. This is all the information from the same company while they were putting the icing on the cake, man. Installment loans. And they sent on the sheet, it says Data Protection Act of 1998. Your personal information will be treated as confidential and only disclosed at your request to prevent fraud by the order of the court or by the order of a court. Man, is that good? Can you believe it? They said all this stuff, Jay? George. I mean, can you believe it sent all this information? Man, they are good. The point that I'm trying to make is that we all have a part of us where we become more curious about things. Maybe we need to do it, maybe not. But, I promise you, if somebody tells you, I'm going to give you something for nothing, more than likely it's a scam. Just so everybody knows, if you go to youandyourcredit.com, you'll be able to pull up information on all the companies that we represent. And at the top of each one of the logos, once you pull up that company's information, you'll be able to see their ratings. They're rated, they're all rated by the Better Business Bureau. They're all licensed companies, and you're dealing direct with the company. It's not just Remus Bowman, the credit guy. Some of my friends often tell me, well, why don't you do the credit restoration yourself? I prefer to be an advocate and, try to teach people how to do it for themselves. And we help a lot of people. We've helped a lot of people get good credit, and we've helped a number of people buy houses and buy cars. But I think this thing that's going on right now with this theft of information, I think that's a pretty big deal. And I think that if you're going to do business with different companies here in the United States, you need to know whether or not that company is legit and whether or not that company has your best interests at heart. Some companies may make you a loan, but then they go down the street and they start selling your information to someone else, and it's a big deal, man. It's a big deal. How would you like to wake up one morning and find out that your identity has actually been stolen, and someone maybe have done a quick sale on the home that you're living in, or bought a car in your name? People are buying things over the internet now, and they're buying all kinds of stuff. They're buying houses, they're buying cars, they're buying mink coats and diamonds and gold, all kinds of stuff. So if you're going to protect yourself, go to You and Your Credit, register for LifeLock. It's only $99. George, you back?
I'm back, man. I got disconnected.
One of the reasons why I asked you to be on the show today is because of a situation that occurred with you. I'd appreciate it if you would share it with our listeners.
Well, I went to bed with $6,900 in my account and woke up a negative $2,000.
So
someone hacked my account in the middle of the night about 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Did some online purchasing, and the only thing warned me about it is because when my bank account gets to a certain amount balance, it alerts me. But other than that, it had been probably a day or two before I found out about what was going on with my account. I was able to retrieve my money, but it's just the inconvenience. And I still had my credit card, and I have no idea where they got my number from. They had my number and my PIN number.
Wow.
I had no idea where it came from.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I still had possession of the card.
Well, they don't need.
I have no idea.
They don't need the physical card if they got the number.
Only thing I can remember is buying gas on the card, and that was it.
They have they have scammers that they insert into these gas pumps. And what happens is when you go and you put it fits right over the actual scammer that most of these gas stations are using. So you don't even realize that there's an extra piece that's on top of the piece that the most gas stations are using. So as a result, uh, they scam your information right then and there, and they when you put your code in, they also scan the code.
Wow.
And a lot of people are not aware of that. So your bank was able to help you to retrieve your money.
Right. Well, that's right. Yeah, the bank was able to put the money back because they made the purchase in Arizona, California, some crazy person. It was all online.
Isn't that wonderful? I'm telling you now, man, you got to get LifeLock. LifeLock's a wonderful product. Keep people from stealing your identity. Also, one of the things that I like most about LifeLock is if this does happen to you, they will help you. They will help refund the money that you lose, and if something is charged to your credit report that is not legitimate, they'll help get it off. They will help clean your credit report because they're the big boys, man. They're the number one company in this type of industry in the country. So they know exactly what they're doing, and they put up $1 million guarantee that they will cover you, man. They will cover you.
Wow.
So, did you have any idea of what they were trying to purchase? You said they bought stuff
Well,
all over the country.
The first transaction they ran it for $1. I guess that's just to check to see
That's the test.
if they had the information right.
Right.
Then the next was for $4,935. Then the next charge was for $4,000. They bought some kind of artifact or picture or jewelry online.
Wow.
I was with American Express Platinum, so they just froze some cards, shipped me another card, and had to file a paperwork on fraudulent account, and they transferred my money back.
Wow. I'm telling you guys, this could happen to you. Hey, I need you to go to youandyourcredit.com or youandyourcredit.us, enroll in LifeLock. I think it's like $10 a month or $100
I
a
would do
year. I mean, it's a great product. You can Google LifeLock, and it'll tell you about all the coverages that they offer. And for those customers that are in my credit restoration program, you need to know that while you're in the credit restoration program, LifeLock is a part of your program. So if you're currently working with me to get your credit clean, you also have LifeLock as a part of that service. It's the end of the show. George, I want to thank you for coming on the show. As I said earlier, this was one of them, to me. It's very vital that people know that everybody,
It can happen.
everybody's got their finger on the button. This could happen to anyone, no matter what your economic situation is. So this is You and Your Credit on the New Orleans Talk Network. Don't be a victim. Be victorious. Prepare yourself.
I like
If you don't plan to be successful, if you don't plan anything, then situations will happen beyond your control. This is You and Your Credit on the New Orleans Talk Network. Have a great day, guys.